Hello guys, Adrian Clarke here. Welcome to the breakdown. Port Vale 0, Arsenal 2 then. The Gunners through to the last 16 of the League Cup where they'll play Brighton at home. We'll get into that very, very shortly. But let's start with reaction to a bit of breaking news, shall we? And that is from David Ornstein. He's dropped the Orn bomb. I love Orny. He's absolutely brilliant, isn't he? And he has said that William Saliba has agreed to sign a new long-term contract. 5 years. It's since been confirmed by various sources. And it's fantastic news, isn't it? Personally, I never felt that Real Madrid, that move was going to happen. I felt that he was happy all along. I wasn't particularly worried, but it's good to tie him down. And we're going to get his best years now, aren't we, for William Saliba, you would have thought. As an Arsenal player. So, yeah, it's brilliant. And what I think this does, it speaks volumes, as does some of the other renewals that we've had lately. It speaks volumes about the belief that the players have in Mikel Arteta, in this group, that they will win trophies. Because they wouldn't commit the best years of their career to Arsenal otherwise. They just wouldn't. And in years gone by, players didn't, did they? They went and moved on, and we had to sell our best players often to bigger clubs. But that's not happening at the moment. And I think once Andrea Berta gets Bukayo Saka tied down to that new contract, then I think we can kind of look at him and say, is it a sort of 10 out of 10 start to life as the director of football at Arsenal? I mean, it's maybe not 10, but it's not far off, is it? So he's doing a fantastic job, and I'm absolutely buzzing that Saliba has agreed to sign that new long-term deal. Right, let's talk about the game. Let's break it down, shall we? It wasn't a classic, let's be fair, but it's job done. It was professional. It was solid. Port Vale didn't have a shot on target. Their XG added up to 0.09, which is pretty much nothing. So in that respect, you have to say that the guys were comfy. Yeah, they really were. I mean, I can only really think of a couple of mistakes. There was a Mascara pass across his own half, which was a bit daft, that caused a minor alarm. And I think Nwaneri did a flick shortly after that inside his own half that gave the ball away, and they had an attack from it. But really and truly, we handled pretty much, we handled it with ease. It was a weird game. Obviously, 80.6% of possession for Arsenal it's kind of not what you want, because you want a little bit more space, don't you, to work with. But that's the way it was. I mean, 731 accurate passes to 115 from Port Vale, just to chuck a few numbers at you. And I think the disappointment of our passing, and the passing was really accurate, was that who had all the passes. And I looked at it, and the starting back four, plus Norgard, all of them had between 84 and 135 passes. They were the top five. And I think what you really want is your midfielders and your attacking midfielders to be getting your 80s to 100 passes a game, don't you? So Nwaneri did. Nwaneri, I thought, was really bright in the match, particularly in the first half. Faded a little bit. He had 80 passes. And then the next one was Eze on 55. So I think the challenge for us next time we play that kind of team, that kind of opponent, is can we get the ball into those guys, the creators, a bit more often, let them pop it around rather than going side to side at the back all of the time. It was a bit dull at times, but we got the job done, didn't we? In terms of the tactical approach, what was the standout then? What was the most interesting bit of this game? For me, it was kind of Mikel Merino and his positioning. And I don't mean that in a positive way, unfortunately. I would say he very much played as a false nine. He was the nominal striker. But frustratingly for me, he didn't stay there very often. He moved around and he kept coming into midfield and dropping deep. You'll see a clip here, a freeze frame, where he came really, really deep towards the halfway line, got it and wanted a prompt play. And you can see there that Saka and Eze have gone up top in his place. And that's good. And Martinelli's there as well. That's what you need to do. You need players to fill that gap. Here is Merino's heat map from the game. Now, Arsenal are kicking from left to right as we look. So, yeah, more touches in the attacking half, mainly on the right-hand side. He very rarely comes over to the left, Mikel Merino, which in itself, it doesn't balance the team out brilliantly. But look how many involvements are inside his own half. And that's him coming short, creating an extra man in midfield. And if there was any game where we didn't need any more players in the middle of the park, it was probably this one, because Port Vale went with 5-4-1. It was very narrow. It was very, very compact. And I didn't think it really helped the team to have him coming into those holes. What you need to do when it happens is have runners. And I thought in the first half we absolutely did. We really did. Nwaneri did brilliantly. There was a couple of give and goes. He ran in beyond the fullback from a sort of right midfield role. Thought he was really bright. Saka went beyond on a few occasions. Martinelli was looking to drive past his man as well. And Eze made those little darting runs into the holes when Merino vacated. I also thought White had a really strong first half as well. We'll have a look now at Eze's chance, not the one he scored from, but this was a good example of when Merino drops in, what we need to do. And he drops in to receive the ball off of Bukayo Saka, and it's a good square pass from Saka. He fizzes it in, he turns quickly Merino, and he slips in Eze. He can't slip Eze in if he doesn't make the run. So it's really good play, and he has a shot on target. And that's how you do. That's how you play with a false nine. While we're on the subject of Eberechi Eze, first goal for the club. Obviously, he played deeper, played in that left 8 role, so it's another new position for him. And I thought he did pretty well by and large. This is his goal. Let's take a look at it, shall we? It's really, really clever movement. First of all, Nwaneri switches the ball quickly, and that is massively important when you come up against a back 5 that wants to be super defensive. You've got to switch it to the wide players in one pass if you can, which Nwaneri did. He fizzed it out wide, and I like the chaos. Look who's in the box. It's Eze and Lewis-Skelly. What are they both doing there? But it doesn't matter, because that's good. It's good to come up with unpredictable things. Obviously, Martinelli drives inside, as you see. I'm not quite sure if Lewis-Skelly got a touch on it or not. I think he gets the assist. It's a minimal touch. But the best bit here is Eze's movement, isn't it? It's a little magic trick. One minute the marker thinks he's there. The next he just darts behind his back. And then once the ball gets squared, he opens his body up and curls it into the corner. It's a really, really nice finish, and it's good for Eberechi Eze to get off the mark in an Arsenal shirt. First of many, I'm absolutely sure of that. While we're talking about Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think him being involved was good. It was lovely to see him get some minutes, and it was a different Miles Lewis-Skelly, wasn't it, in this game? For the reasons I mentioned earlier, actually, he didn't really come into central midfield very often, and that was deliberate. I think Mikel Arteta will have told him to stay a bit wider, because it was already clogged up, wasn't it? That middle part of the pitch. It didn't need him to come in there and link play and dictate from that area. So that was a bit different for him. So he was a little bit wider, wasn't he? Now, I don't want to pick on him here because he did fine in the game, but I just would want Miles Lewis-Skelly to be a bit braver in his passing. Now, the fact is he hasn't had much game time, and he's probably lost a little bit of confidence. And when I looked at this game, I didn't really think he grabbed his opportunity. We know how dynamic he can be. We know he can go on those really positive surging runs. And I don't really remember him travelling with the ball at his feet very often at all in the game. And he took the safe option more often than not. He completed 76 of 78 passes. That's very impressive. But as you'll see on this pass map, so many of them went backwards to the centre half. So many went square to midfielders. The only touch that he had in an involvement that got the ball into the box was that sort of minimal, maybe phantom touch for Eze's goal. Didn't play a pass into the box. Now here's an example of a pass he could have played into the box, and this is just an example of where I think he's at the moment. Maybe lacking a bit of confidence. Martinelli squares it back to him or cuts the ball back to him. And you see Eze's made a great run into the box. And that's an easy pass for a player like Miles Lewis-Skelly. The red arrow there. Just feed it left-footed into his feet, and that's a dangerous situation. He turned it down, unfortunately. It was like, oh, not quite sure about it. Don't want to give the ball away. And he goes square, I think, to Norgard. So that, I think, is a frustration, and hopefully now that he's had a game, the next time he plays with a little bit more confidence and a little bit more bravery, because, yeah, I think it was slightly frustrating to see him take the safe option more often than not. Now, the pattern of the game, I thought we played really well in the first half. Didn't obviously create much, but we played well. The attitude was good. Second half, at the start, not that good. Bit flat. I think Port Vale were more aggressive. They squeezed up, they congested the space, and they made it a bit of a scrap. And they made it harder for us on the ball. They put a bit more pressure on. We didn't have that controlled possession, and the ball went out of play more, and they got more free kicks, and they got some throw-ins, and they had some moments. We lost our flow, but then Mikel Arteta, not for the first time of late, definitely changed the dynamic of the game with his substitutions. And I want to point out a couple of things that I really picked up on in that second half. The first is Gyökeres. I think polar opposite to Mikel Merino in terms of style of play as a centre forward, and it was the perfect time to do it because they were super comfy, because they were thinking, well, Merino's never going to run behind us, and maybe Martinelli and Saka have stopped doing that. So we're going to keep squeezing up and we're going to congest play. Well, Gyökeres comes on, all of a sudden, he sees that space and he's like, yes, I am running into it. And I thought he did it a few times. There was one ball around the corner from Trossard where he surged down the left-hand side. Nothing came of it, but it was a good run. But look at this one here. This is a really good example. Excellent from Dowman. So he gets it off Mosquera, who'd moved to right back. One touch, round the corner. Absolutely sublime pass from Max Dowman, who was really good again. You know, a couple of little flicks and dribbles he had. It was fantastic. But that pass is superb for Gyökeres. And that is the pass that Gyökeres wants all day long. He gets on the end of it, gets his shot away. And it's only a sensational block, really, from the defender. I think it was Humphreys that denied him a goal. It's outstanding defending. He would have scored in that situation. Another one of the subs, of course, was Leandro Trossard. And Leandro comes up trumps again. And the most sort of eye-catching aspect of this goal, the goal that effectively takes us into the next round, is that it's yet another ball over the top. It's 5 games in a row now. 5 games in a row, we've scored a goal where we've flipped the ball over a relatively high line. Now, most teams don't hold a high line against us, but you can't low block for a whole game. And in those moments where teams have squeezed up, boy, if we punish them. And it's brilliant to see. It's a long ball Arsenal are very much back in business. And what a pass this was from William Saliba, the aforementioned. No pressure on him. That line really should drop. It doesn't. So he just clips it over the top and Trossard gets on the end of it. It's a great run from him. Controls it. And the defenders get back, don't they? But then he just chops inside and shoots. And he's clinical, isn't he? Leandro Trossard. Since the international break, Leandro Trossard has either scored a goal or assisted a goal once every 32.25 minutes. 2 goals, 2 assists. It's really, really good end product, isn't it, from the Belgians? So chuffed to bits with him. When you think about it, when you think about that transfer window, and a lot of us were thinking, well, we might have to sacrifice Trossard or or Martinelli. One of them might have to be sold. Thank goodness they weren't sold in the end, really, because both have been really, really good contributors, haven't they, in the last few weeks. So there you have it. Excuse me. I'm gonna go for some player ratings now. I'm just gonna add that to my video today. I used to kind of dislike player ratings when I was a footballer, because sometimes you think, I've had a good game there, and you get a 5 in the paper. It's absolute, you feel really, really hard done by. But I just think it's a little bit of fun, and it gives you an idea of, I guess, of what I thought, in terms of each performance. So I'm going to go through it very quickly. Kepa 6, didn't have anything to do. White 7, I thought he had a dynamic first half. Obviously not so much in the second, but good performance from him. William Saliba 7, I think he was the pick at the back. His passing was great. Mosquera 6, not quite as dominant, and he did make that mistake. Lewis-Skelly 6 as well. Norgard 6, kept the ball neat and tidy, but it's one lovely pass in behind from Dowman, but didn't really stamp that much authority on the game. Nwaneri 7, I think he shares star man with Eze, who gets a 7 as well. Nwaneri was great in the first half. Same with Eze. Both players not quite as effective after the break. Saka, I'm I'm going to go 6 because he's capable of so much more, but he was pretty good. Martinelli the same, 6. And Merino, I'll probably go for a 5. I didn't like the way he came so deep so often. In terms of the bench, Gabriel 6, Rice 6. No real time to make much of an impact. But Dowman, definitely a 7. Gyökeres a 7. I thought he was really sharp when he came on. And Trossard scores the goal. He has to get a 7 as well. So there you go. Arsenal progress past Port Vale in the League Cup. I hope you've enjoyed this breakdown. It's Newcastle, isn't it, on the weekend? Bit of a bogey fixture for us. Hopefully we can go into it with a different game plan this time. Maybe out football to really sort of play our best creators and zip that ball around them to bypass what's going to be a really sort of hostile approach, I think, from Eddie Howe's side. So yeah, that's one to kind of look forward to on Sunday afternoon. Yeah, hopefully we can buck the recent trend and go to St James's Park and get the win. That's all from me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Really, really appreciate it. Loving the comments as well. I will try and get back to some of you a little bit more often. But yeah, thank you so much for getting involved with a little bit of dialogue as well. This was The Breakdown. I'll see you again soon.